Hello there. My name is Kevin Bullard. I'm the Chief Leadership Officer here in the City of Garland. And I'd like to welcome you to the very first Garland Leadership Conversations. This will be an ongoing video series where I will interview different leaders from within the organization and outside the organization. And the whole purpose of it is to provide leadership insights for you, to foster growth, and to give our guests an opportunity to share what it is that they've learned about leadership. Um, Today, the very first episode, I'm very happy to have our city manager, Judd Rex. And welcome, Judd.
Welcome, Kevin. Thank you. It's great to be here for this inaugural video. We're very excited about that.
Indeed. So today's kind of weird in a way because although I'm the host, it's almost kind of like in Teams, you can have a co-host. I'm going to make you the co-host because part of this is you're going to be asking me questions since I am new to the city and new in this position. And so at this point, you're a known co-host. So
A
go
little
for
bit
it.
of back and forth is what you're saying, which is great. That's exciting. It's going to be a good time.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So here's how I want to open this up. I know that I've heard it so much from you over the past really almost 2 years since I've been working with you. And for everyone who doesn't know, I initially started working with you as a consultant. And then this July, I came onto the city staff. And I've continued to act in that way as a consultant to you, but also for the rest of the leadership team. But one of the things that you've made very clear is your commitment towards leadership. And if you will, just explain to everyone what that looks like. What is that, and why do you have that commitment?
Yeah. Well, and it's made me reflect back to when we did meet during, ironically, Leadership Garland.
Yeah.
It's just been a great thing ever since. And so excited for your new role, Kevin, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But to answer your question about what is leadership and what does it look like here at the City of Garland? What's my vision for it? I would say there's kind of three main ingredients. The first is that leadership or being a leader is for everyone. Everyone can be a leader. In that respect, leadership really is about who you're being when you're doing life, doing your job, your home, your family, all of those things. That's what leadership is about who you're being.
Right.
And so in that respect, everybody's a leader. It's not restricted to a certain position. It's not restricted to a certain office.
Right.
No matter what your position is with the City of Garland, you can be a leader. And so that's kind of that first ingredient. And so building on that, I think really the second thing is that if we take that approach that everybody's a leader, then I want to build a culture, and I'm committed to building a culture where we help develop leaders. And I'm very much into this idea that we need to do everything we can to make people the best leaders they can be. And that means, well, for one, this position, having somebody this is such an important thing for us that we need somebody who helps to solely do that in the organization, and that's why you're here. But it's also about building a culture of continuous improvement, building programs and things around helping individuals be their best selves, and building a culture around that, and really feasting off of leadership at all levels. Again, everyone's a leader. Now we're going to help build a culture around that and help implement programs and policies and different things that get us there. And so that's kind of the second ingredient.
Okay.
And I would say the third thing is really emphasizing this connection between performance and leadership, right? So, I told you early on that our why, our purpose is to build the stage where the residents of Garland can each live their best life. And I firmly believe that the better leaders we have, the better we help people become. And as people become their best selves, meaning that they know what their strengths and their weaknesses are, they're kind of self-aware of who they're being, as they perform their job,
Mm-hmm.
as we help them become better leaders, and as Team Garland becomes their best selves, that building the stage becomes a whole lot easier.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's easy, but it means that it becomes easier,
Right.
because we're in the space where we're doing our job, but we're being our best selves as we're doing that. And so building that stage doesn't seem nearly as difficult when we are being our best selves, and that really is what makes up leadership. So it's about everybody's a leader. We're going to build a culture around leadership and focusing on our mission, really linking performance and building the stage to, hey, I'm trying to be a better person, be a better leader. That's going to make me build that stage even better.
Right.
So I think those are kind of the ingredients there. And again, going back, Kevin, to what I started with, which is because these things are important, because we want people to grow into this leadership space and be better leaders. That's why you're here, and that's I want to add to your introduction a little bit that Kevin and I met during Leadership Garland a couple years ago, and when you were with Doria Underwood, did some work with the city, and you've been sort of well engaged in what's going on here at the City of Garland now for well over a year. Have been working with the city management team, our managing directors and directors, and now we get all of Kevin, like full-time. Kevin Bullard is here to help Team Garland be their best selves, and I'm super excited about that.
Me too.
But anything you would add kind of to the introduction, and maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. There's so much I could say about the things you said. But first of all, this for everyone. I think one of the things we hear a whole lot is that we're all leaders, and even though we hear that, it really doesn't occur that way. If I'm in an organization, like for instance, I'm thinking of an organization I'm in, and it's my first year in the organization, and I'm not one of the officers. And if someone were to say, "Well, we're all leaders here," I'd be thinking, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm just sitting here. I'm the newbie here, and you're the one with the title, and you're the one with the responsibility. So you're the leader." And it's just interesting. I could say it just as easily as you could. Here in the city of Garland, we're all leaders, but I think about myself in that other situation, and it's easy for me to think I'm not one of the leaders. But it hits on to something that you and I talk about quite a bit, is how it occurs to me.
Mm-hmm.
And how something occurs to me it always arises in language, and I always have the ability to create new language to shift how it occurs to me. And so I'm thinking about myself now that I'm at the organization. I am a leader, and I can do things that prove that I am a leader. And so it's not just in words. I don't want folks to hear you say we're all leaders and it's just words. We can hear it, but then there's something that we actually do that puts some meat on the bones that I am a leader. But it starts, first of all, with the occurring. And then once I really grab that, then I can start acting on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and I think it goes back to that leadership is all about who you're being. Right. And you can show that by working back towards your commitments, right? So, but I'm going to say it. Yesterday I had a bad day, okay? And I know everybody who's watching this has been in that position where it's been a bad day.
Yeah.
And we all have them. It just happens. And yesterday I had a bad day. We talked about this at lunch today, and that was a whole other conversation. But it was a bad day, and for a lot of different reasons, it was just not going my way. And the frosting on the cake was, at the end of the day, I get a text from. My car's been in the shop for 5 months. All right, and there's some people out there that know about this. I get a text. They've already replaced the motor. I get a text from them yesterday, and they say, "Sorry, we messed up. We got to replace another motor. We got to put a whole other motor in." And it's like, well, how long is this going to take? And it was just, the frosting on the cake of a bad day.
Right.
And but then I remembered I can be a leader, and so I go back to these commitments and who am I being right now? Am I this angry, bitter person that is letting a bad day direct my life, or do I go back to a commitment of, okay, who am I going to be in this space, and what's my next step? What's the next decision I make about how I react to what's going on?
Right.
And that's what leadership is, and I think that's what I want to help Team Garland understand. And I'm going through that journey myself, of trying to be the best person I can be, no matter what the circumstances are. And it's all about what our commitments are. And that's something that I've learned from you. You've helped me see that, and I hope that bringing you on board as Chief Leadership Officer is going to help spread those types of things throughout the organization.
Well, thanks for that. I'm thinking about the people who within the city who have worked with me so far. If they've not heard me say anything else, they've heard me asking, what are you committed to? And as Chief Leadership Officer, that's probably like the most important question that I can keep asking, because so much comes from that. So I'll just take your situation, and then I'll throw one of my own into the picture. In your situation, I mean, you were thrown by what happened yesterday, and then you get a call from the car company saying that, we've had your car for 5 months, and guess what? We're going to keep it longer. And it's easy to get thrown by that. That's normal. I mean, our human beingness, we get upset by stuff like that. It's out of the ordinary, particularly the car. It's not what's expected. But because you went back to your commitment, my coach, Jane Smith, said that when you are clear on your commitment, or when you know what you're committed to, what to do next becomes clear. And I love that. I love that. And I practice that so much. And I think different folks here within the city who I've worked with, whenever there's a situation that there's some upheaval, or there's some type of upset, or things haven't gone as expected, or maybe there's an issue that has arisen in the team, when you can look at what you're committed to, it helps you see what to do next. First of all, you start to look to see, all right, what am I committed to? And then you look at what can I cause to happen? Or another way we say it is being cause in a matter. What can I cause to happen in this situation, even if the situation's not my fault? And I ran into this myself. So yesterday morning, my son got hit from behind in the car. And this is 5 weeks after my daughter hit somebody from behind and totaled 2 vehicles. And insurance is just like steadily rising. So if anybody has any tips on a good insurance company, holler at me, all right? But my son said his neck was hurting, and so he needed to go to the doctor. My wife was off yesterday. My wife is Cecilia, my son is Max. And so, as I understood it, Cecilia and Max were going to go to the doctor. She was going to go with them. I got home last night. Surprise, surprise, I've got a meeting at 7 I didn't know about. So I did that meeting. I finally get off the meeting. I'm ready to start winding down for the night. So I was tired, ready to go to bed. Max hadn't been to the doctor. And I was upset and all the stuff. I found myself making Cecilia wrong. It's like, you were off. You said you were going to take him. I found myself making Max wrong. You're 21. You could have gone to the doctor yourself. And then Cecilia said, well, he was sleeping. And I'm thinking, wake him up. It's like, where his room is. And I could see how I was being. I was being petulant and irritable. And we'll hear more about this, but there was a racket running. I had a complaint. The complaint was they didn't do what they said they would do, and they can't be relied upon. And so I was like, Max, get in the car. So we're driving to the urgent care last night, and I can feel, everybody, you can feel it when you're just on fire and you're trying to contain it as not to make a scene. But even though you're not making a scene, everybody can still see how you're being, and they don't want to be around you at that time. And as we're riding, I thought about my commitment. One of my commitments was, honestly, I wanted to be in bed by 9:30 last night. But there was a bigger commitment, and I had to create this commitment, or at least, because it wasn't there. It's I'm committed to making sure Max is okay. And once I landed on that commitment, all the other stuff, it didn't really go away. I just moved it to the side. But that's transferable not only at home, but at work. Because if I get thrown at work, someone doesn't say they were going to do what they don't do what they say they were going to do. Or in this case, I mean, I happen to report to you, but for everybody reports to somebody, your boss comes in and gives you some assignment at the last minute or changes something. I mean, we get thrown and we get bothered. And the question is, what am I committed to? And there's a direct correlation with my commitment and my performance. Because if I lose sight of my commitment and I get thrown and I'm upset and I'm not being who I want to be, who I hold myself out to be for myself and for others, there is a direct impact on my performance, and my job ability starts to suffer, my job performance. And it's all connected, who we're being, the commitment, and realizing that that's part of leadership. And if I can strengthen that part of my leadership, then I can change that. I can cause a conversion there where I'm operating according to my commitment and not according to my upset. I've been talking a long time. Your turn.
No, that I love that story because again, we've all been there. Everyone on Team Garland at work or at home, we get faced with these situations and we get that feeling that you were talking about, which is just this buildup of anger, resentment, whatever, fill in the blank. And it's like, okay, ground yourself. Let's come back to what our commitments are. And that's just, it makes things clear when you do that. And everyone can have that power
Right.
by understanding what a commitment is. So really look forward to the work that you're going to be doing, Kevin, to help Team Garland out, to help us be better as we build the stage for the residents of Garland to live their best life. Tell me what excites you most about the Chief Leadership Officer position and where you're going to take it.
Yeah. Probably the thing that excites me the most about the position is that it's brand new. And ironically, that's also the thing that scares me the most about it. When something is brand new, you get to create what it looks like. And that's exciting because we've got the working genius here. We're working through that, the 6 types of working genius. My working genius, one of them is invention. And that's where I thrive at just like creating something. But here's a part of being a leader where I have to be mindful of. There's also a part of me, like my natural way of being is, great, you came up with it. Now it's time to implement it. And all this fear can come over me. And so another thing that excites me about being Chief Leadership Officer is I get to practice the very same thing that I'm sharing with Team Garland. In this case is, what am I committed to? Am I more committed to not putting it out there because it might not work, or am I more committed to developing and growing Team Garland and myself by putting it out there? And so the fact that it's brand new and the fact that I get to practice what I'm preaching, that's a wonderful thing.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit envious, actually. I think it's a great opportunity, and I feel strong about who we selected for this position, and that you've already been here embedded in Team Garland for a while, and for those watching, please know that Kevin's got my support for the work that he's going to be doing, and that we work closely together on implementing this vision for leadership in the organization. And so I want to share that and just let Team Garland know that as you're out helping us be our best selves, that this isn't something that just came out of the blue. This was very thoughtful and deliberate, and was planned out again to help us get better at building the stage where the residents of Garland can each live their best lives. So,
Right.
As we're talking about Team Garland, Kevin, what can members of Team Garland expect to see from Chief Leadership Officer, and what does the future look like?
Okay. Well, I'll start with what's closest and then move out. First of all, there will be more of these, the Garland leadership conversations, and I'm excited about those. Just interviewing people, and I'll be learning. It's a chance for them to share, a chance for all of us to learn. I'm excited about that. There will be what I'm calling lead and learn. It's a lead and learn that you can have while you're eating lunch. How about that? We've got all these L's in here. But that will just be a 45, 60-minute team session that I do. And those will happen twice a month. And we'll talk about a different leadership quality, or you'll hear this word a whole lot more, a distinction. And distinction is just where we are distinguishing between what looks like is happening versus what's actually happening. And so those leading learns will do those. Also, up to this point, Mitch Bates has been sending out a weekly email to the directors, management directors, I believe. I will be sending out an email to all of Team Garland, and my whole goal is for it not to be all right, so do this, then do this, because whenever I read something like that, I'm just like, you're boring me already. So it's going to be more of a fable. It's going to be a story. There will be some fictitious characters inside of a municipality, and each week we will go with them along their journey and seeing their adventures, but looking at a different leadership lesson, a different distinction. And there will be a couple of questions at the end of those emails. There will be one question for you to ask yourself, and it will be another question for you to ask people on your team. And the purpose of that is just, I want everybody to look. Just like one of the things I'm always doing is looking at me to see, how am I doing as a leader, how I'm being. So I want everyone to look at themselves, but I also want to foster this community. Like, leadership doesn't happen you can't lead by yourself. It just goes against the very definition of the word lead. Leadership growth, leadership breakthroughs, leadership transformation happens in community. And a quick example of that, I got on a Teams call yesterday. I got on the call about 10 minutes early, and everything was perfect. Everything was working as far as I knew. And then the person who I was meeting with got on, and I started talking, and she couldn't hear me. And there was a blind spot that I didn't know about until I was in community with someone else. And that's part of what that second question from the email will be about, is for you to ask other people about you, to ask the team about themselves, because that's how we see how we're being. None of us has ever seen the back of our own head. And so it is very tough for us to see what we look like ourselves, but that's why we have each other. And so going down the road, what folks can expect to see is Kristen Smith created, I think created is the right word, the Team Garland, which is this very matrixed and step-by-step program of, so you are starting at the city or you are an executive at the city. What does it look like to be developed in various areas, from leadership to financial acumen to political acumen? What does it look like to grow, and how do you get promoted for all that? Well, Kristen's already developed a beautiful framework, and so part of what I will be doing is building that out. And there will also be workshops, and there will be classes. And in October, HR is instituting a new software suite called SkillSoft. And so there will be just a ton of online classes. So it will also be building a platform where there's not only things in person, but also pointing folks towards that great resource. And so there's a lot to come. It feels like the job is a behemoth, seriously, and there aren't enough hours in a day, but I'm committed to it, and I'm excited to make it happen.
Well, and I'm excited to see it happen, and appreciate you sharing, giving Team Garland a little bit of preview of what's coming, and also sharing your commitment to be successful here. And so I guess to kind of start to wrap things up, we know what's coming at us in terms of leadership development and what opportunities are available. What what would you say to members of Team Garland at this point, as far as where should they be coming from as they approach these opportunities, and as we talk about commitments and those types of things?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to look in the camera and answer this since I'm talking to Team Garland. I think the place to come from is this. I want to grow. And it's easy to, I think we unconsciously think, yeah, I want to grow, and that's why I'm doing this, this, and this. And I think thinking even more intentionally about it, number one, I want to grow. And here's the crazy thing that happens with I want to grow. Because our brain's job is to protect us, very often we can't even see how we need to grow. Or we choose an area where we already have some strength and we want to get stronger in that. But that's actually not what causes a breakthrough of leadership. And so the place to come from and the place to look is, I'm going to be tested. And it's not that Kevin's going to test me, but rather I'm going to test myself. And I want to have the blind spots that I have exposed so that I can grow. Because as I grow, there is a direct correlation with my performance on the job. And I'm seeing that over and over. The more I can grow, the better I can be in my job, which means the better I can perform, the better it is for the city of Garland. And so that's what I would say, where to come from, where to look.
That's awesome. Yep.
Thanks so much for helping me with the inaugural Garland Leadership Conversations. And will you come back?
Absolutely. Anytime you'll have me back.
Anytime all right. I'll have my people call your people. And thank you for watching. I'm hopeful that this was informative for you to know Judd's vision for leadership. And I've heard of 700,000 people say, what is a chief leadership officer? What does that do? So hopefully you have a better understanding of what my role is and what I intend to do. And come on back. And it's exciting. We're going to grow together so that we can build a stage where the residents of Garland can live their best life. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.